normal day for an estimator. What is my day like? What is my life like? What's popping whenever I get on there or get into work on a Monday? Or just, in general. So, I will first quit my job because it sucks. Just playing. All right, let's get serious on this. So, I will normally check my computer, emails and all of that stuff, just to see if overnight something happened or someone, needed something. Maybe there's some new ITB or something like that that I need to check out. And so this is going to be a day where, I just completed a project the day prior. So I can walk you into getting into a project, and then I will walk you through day 2, I guess, whenever I still have this project going on. So let's start with a fresh, clean slate of not a lot of projects. Sounds absolutely beautiful to me. Sounds amazing. So I check my email, I get up, I go take a piss, I might take a smoke break. Let's see, I'll figure out what I'm gonna listen to on my iPhone, throw my AirPods in, start listening. And I guess, I saw an ITB, right, that I wanted, or let's just say that. I saw an ITB that I think fits our scope of work. And this first go around, I think I'm going to do this based on what it was like working for a subcontractor. And I'll either end this video or another one update it with what it would be like for a GC. But we see a scope of work that we like, or I see a scope of work that I like from an ITB. I start going through it, check out the plans, check out any pictures they have associated with it, see what's what, and then I start taking it apart, downloading stuff, start looking at plans. So, I guess immediately the very, very first thing I do is I go to the plans, I download the plans into PDF format or a form, and then just start looking through them just to see what's going on in the project. And then, kind of start to make my decision there on, is this something that I think is a reasonable thing that we can actually do? So, you know what, I'll just go flip back right now to a GC. So I do everything, I take my piss, I find my music, what I'm gonna be listening to, because we sitting in this office chilling for a while. We got some stuff to do this Monday morning. At that, I would be, I would be somewhat doing the same thing, but having a job basically handed to me to start getting scope for. And for a GC, you're not just going to be looking at scope for, let's say, the fire alarm in, back past the electronics and the plans, or the concrete scope and what concrete cutting and concrete slab work and all of that stuff needs to be done. I would be looking for the entire project. Like, what is the framing like? What is the drywall like? What is the foundation work like? What is any of the metal work like? Electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Anybody missing? You know, mill work for all the cabinetry and shelving and everything. Any other sort of supplies, maybe that, like, let's say some air scrubbers, right? So you got a lot of drywall work and maybe you want to get the air clean so that it's not a massive amount of work for the final cleanup whenever you're trying to go through the punch list and hand the keys over from yourself to the customer for whatever commercial building this is, or the owners or whatever. So I would try and catch all of that scope, and normally within just like an hour or two, nothing crazy, and maybe go back through it a few times just to make sure that I've gotten, you know, what I need. A few smoke breaks and looking at a bunch of daggone papers and screens later, we got some scope going. So at that point, I would be starting the process of like handing that information over either to a controller or, you know, myself entering this into Building Connected to go out to subcontractors to actually bid for it, because as a GC, I don't necessarily need to rely on my estimating skills, which is a pro and a con. I feel like it would probably make you a little less sharp, but it'll probably make you a little bit less sharp in that specific field or fields that you had estimated in the past, and it'll make you able to more generally look over an entire project and be able to tell what goes where, who goes when, what does where, and all of that type of stuff. So that's GC side. Now we're going back to subcontractor side. So I looked at the plans, decided that was the type of scope of work that we are going to be getting into. So for this one, maybe I work for a millwork contractor. I do millwork. I've never actually worked for a millworker or a millwork subcontractor before. Millwork is cabinetries, everything that you've seen in the office where people are sitting at their desks and all of that stuff. Some of it is going to be furniture, like a chair, but the millwork is everything that's wood, basically, or the Foss wood BS stuff that they have in the office. And so I got that scope, I got that project. I probably should, especially now that I work for a GC, press I am bidding so we don't have to either call you and be like, hey, are you bidding? And then you tell us whatever, either way, yes or no. But I'll choose an option and then kind of go to start to take off and to download that into PlanSwift, Bluebeam, whatever. I might have already actually done it already, as in downloading it, because sometimes I don't care to actually look at plans if in PDF format, basically, because you can't really interact with the plans the same way that you can whenever you have them in the takeoff software. You can zoom and flip through pages and all of that stuff, especially if you've been using the software for a while, way faster than you can manipulate PDFs. So put it over there, get the estimate, and I'll finish estimating. I'll probably finish a job in a day. I mean, according to what it is. But let's just say I finish out estimating at the subcontractor, right? So headed back over to the GC side of things. I I started putting it out, or started typing up all of the stuff for, let's say, Building Connected for each scope of work. And by the end of the day, I probably have already sent it out, and maybe I'm downloading those plans into some sort of takeoff software. And so, like I said earlier, you don't necessarily have to rely on your takeoffs at a GC, but you still may have to do takeoffs at a GC, because let's say that you're like me and you're pretty decent at estimating. I can use that as a bid that I can compare to the other, subcontractors bids that we get. And especially if we only get one, then at least we have two to compare it to. Or if we get two from subcontractors, now we have, a third one that I created that we can compare it to. So that's where you kind of fill out that vendor comparison, So that's there. And, maybe I'll stay, a few minutes past, or maybe a minute past, but I'm normally about getting up out of there, getting about all of y'all's faces. I'm gonna go back home to my people, my family, all of that, and continue with my day, because the day ain't over just because I spent it all at work for the most part. But actually, matter of fact, right now, I'm recording this video, headed home from work. The day ain't over. Still work to do. Still stuff to be done. So yeah, anyways, I get out of there and I go home, and then I repeat. So, well, not fully, because we haven't actually fully got through a project. So now this is going to be the second day, and I'll go ahead and just do both the GC and the subcontractor, just because I feel like you should be able to kind of parse through both. Hey, I'm over here trying to come up with all of this myself while driving a car on the highway in heavy traffic, if you guys couldn't tell. You see all of this daggone foolishness, man. This stuff is crazy. Not to mention it's almost 100 degrees too. So, all right, day 2. So you will be let's just go into the GC for right now. You are going to be, it's a cordon. So you may be calling a few people just to kind of get started off, especially in the scopes of work that you know are going to be harder to get bids on. And so that'll normally be the MEPs, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Why they also pay some of the highest salaries that I've seen in the estimating career field in general. There's not a lot of people that do them. There's not a lot of people that did them, in the first place hands-on, and then there's not a lot of people who did them hands-on and then transfer over to an estimating role. There's way more people who know how to do drywall. I mean, you probably know how to do drywall in your own house. I mean, it's easier than trying to figure out how to put an elevator in place, how to do some electrical stuff and probably get yourself zapped or something. Like, it's a lot easier than doing that. So is painting and carpentry, a lot of other trades. So you will be calling probably, or just sending out more invites. Maybe you decide to send them out through different websites so that you have like a plethora of different avenues of getting bids, because that's that's what you're going to want to do as a GC. Get as many bids as you can per scope, just so that you're squared away, by the time that the project is done, and you can just use those bids to fill in whatever the pricing is. Maybe you average them together or something like that. Maybe you take the highest guy's price and then you go with the lowest guy and you profit the margin or something like that. Who knows? But, yeah. going with phone calls and emails. You may start another project according to if you're getting good feedback from people already, maybe calling in or emailing you. You're going to be answering questions from people who are going to need to know this, that, or the third, or maybe have a question sent off to the, let's say, the project manager for whatever company that this bid is going through or from to your company as the GC. That would be my second day after the project got started on the GC side of things. So on the sub side of things, if you haven't finished your takeoff, then you're getting right back into the takeoff, probably checking your emails, taking a piss, doing your little smoke breaks, and figuring out what you finna listen to on YouTube and whatever. And then you might have, maybe there's a site walk for the project, and maybe it's scheduled for the second day after you got the invitation to bid. Probably highly unlikely, which is why I didn't mention it. But sometimes they'll have sometimes you'll be able to go to the site, especially if this person that is on site sending out the bid, and you might go there, wherever there is. Hopefully it's not 100 miles away from the place that you work at. A lot of places will give you gas, and whenever you've been working in the office for weeks, days, months, whatever, it is sometimes cool to be able to get out of the office. Sometimes it's not, according to whatever scenario you are in. People, yeah. Getting through the project as in bid-wise, or as in on the plans and taking it off. Maybe the second day you're actually taking the material. So let's say that you finished the takeoff on the first day. The second day you'd probably be putting all of the accounts that you've gotten into Excel and pricing it out. Or maybe you have a very dope software that I can help you price off of it, or maybe you have to go to an Xactimate or literally a book with pricing in it for pretty much every single product with labor included, and pull the pricing out of that, type that into Excel, of course, and then go ahead and add your gross margin down there at the bottom. And maybe you're sending that off on the first or on the second day. Maybe you're sending that to get reviewed by somebody. But that concludes your second day. But in comparison to a lot of the jobs that I've had in the past, that was a pretty chill day. Both of them 2 days. In comparison to jobs that I've worked in the past, being in the Air Force, the fast food, all of that stuff, the McDonald's, the Bojangles, the whatever, and warehouse work too, but all of that stuff, definitely a lot harder day to be entailed by you if you enter any of those or are currently doing any of those. I talk a lot about this topic, which is my career. I want you to be able to have the same career that I do, which is why I'm trying to teach you, which is what my entire business model is kind of wrapped around as well, including my actual company. Check the link in the description below if you'd like to get more value from me, and see you guys on the next one.